I've got a wonderful question and answer episode for you today. We're covering the reason for hops in beers and ales. I've got a very special guest, and I want to thank you for joining me today on Questions and Answers with James Townsend and Son. So, to me today, I've got Brian Nagel. He's the brewmaster here at Genessee Country Village and Museum, and I thought I would ask him about what's going on with hops here in the early 19th century and also in the 18th century. So, tell me a bit about hops, the reason why, what's going on with it, and why some beers have it and some things don't.
Hops are added in as a flavoring agent, but also as a preservative. We don't see hops being used in brewing until about the 1400s, actually. And we start to see it actually part of the German purity laws provide hops being one of the ingredients you could add in to stay within those confines. But hops are just as important for preserving beers as it is for flavoring. Certainly for our brewing here in this building, you don't normally see hops being used in ales, only in beers. But it's also being grown in the 1800s, early 1800s, for pharmacists. The hops provide an antibacterial quality to them. So even pharmacists, for liquid medicines, were using hops to keep medicines fresher longer. India Pale Ales used a lot of hops to make that voyage from England to India to be able to keep the beer safe for that same reason of preservatives. Eventually you're going to use it for flavoring, for bittering, for aroma as well. It's also good for balancing out the sweetness, the maltiness of a lot of the English ales and even some of the early American ones as well. Eventually ales started using hops as well as the beers. But it's great for flavor, great for aroma, and actually hop tea can be used as a sedative for folks as well.
So the more hops you have, the more the more bitterness you have there, you actually have a longer period that's going to stay good?
That's correct.
Okay. So even in different temperatures and different situations like that, we want this to last longer. So a small beer might not have, say, more hops in it.
It would not necessarily have, yeah.
Right, because you might consume it right away.
Exactly. The shelf life of beers from the 1800s also are going to be shorter than you're going to find once refrigeration comes in. Whether it be an ice house, the Germans start to actually develop here in the 1840s in the Rochester area, but also refrigeration later on in the century, in the 20th century.
So I want to thank Brian for bringing this little nugget to us, answering this question. Thank you so much for giving us this today.
My pleasure.
If you're a new viewer and you haven't subscribed, press the subscribe button up here. That'll take you to a spot where you can subscribe. I want to thank everyone for watching.